Ladies and gentlemen, mesdames et messieurs, on behalf of the Action Committee on Access to Justice, welcome to our first National Research Conference on Access to Justice and Data in the Justice System. My name is Doug Ferguson, and I am the chair of the organizing committee for this conference. Le Comité d'action en accès à la justice rassemble des acteurs de tous les secteurs du système de justice canadien afin d'améliorer l'accès à la justice. Le comité d'action est présidé par le juge en droit qui Caracassanes de la Cour suprême du Canada, que vous avez eu le plaisir d'entendre hier lors de notre cérémonie d'ouverture. And by the way, copies of her speech from last night will be available online shortly in both official languages. We are gathered here at a pivotal moment for Canada's justice system. Across this country, more and more people are forced to represent themselves. Most Canadians cannot afford a lawyer. And for those who do enter the system, it takes longer than ever to reach resolution. Justice delayed, justice unaffordable, justice out of reach. This is not a distant problem. It is here and it's growing. Our democracy rests on three pillars. First, we elect those who govern us. Second, they make the laws we live by. And third, our justice system resolves disputes under those laws. That, of course, is the rule of law. But these pillars stand only as long as people trust them. When Canadians begin to lose faith that the system is fair, accessible, and timely, the foundation of our democracy begins to crack. And in a world where democratic institutions are under strain, we cannot afford that erosion of trust. Rebuilding that trust is our collective responsibility, and it will not happen in isolation. Our justice system is vast and fragmented. Multiple governments, courts, law societies, associations, schools, organizations. Too often, we all work in silos. We must break down those silos. Cette conférence vise à changer cette réalité, à réunir des voix qui n'ont pas l'habitude d'être entendues ensemble. Pas seulement pour discuter, mais surtout pour agir, afin de transformer notre système de justice en un système véritablement centré sur les citoyens. Le comité organisateur a retenu deux grands thèmes pour cette conférence. Premièrement, l'accès à la justice au sens large. Comment garantir que les personnes du Canada puissent utiliser efficacement le système de justice mis à leur disposition? The second theme is data, because without evidence, we cannot measure problems, test solutions, or drive real reform. We cannot improve what we do not understand, and right now we do not understand enough. That is where research comes in. During my time in academia, I saw firsthand how little attention access to justice research previously received in many of our law schools. A shift focused on people-centered justice research has begun and must continue. This is not a peripheral issue. This is the legal issue of our generation. And our academic institutions must help lead the way. In addition to the incredible work of the Canadian Forum on Civil Justice, during the Action Committee's listening tour, we observed emerging leadership, including the launch of the new Access to Justice research centers and initiatives at institutions such as the University of Victoria, the University of Saskatchewan, and the University of Manitoba. This conference is yet another step towards leadership in access to justice research. Now, we were inspired by the response to our call for proposals. 75 proposals from across the country. That tells us something important. The ideas are there, the energy is there, The commitment to improve the system is there. And we must now transform this energy into action. Presenters of this conference have been asked to put forward practical ideas, something that can be implemented in the near term. Not theory, but action. Not someday, but soon. I want to give you a quick rundown of the attendance at this conference. I'm delighted to tell you that we have almost 200 persons registered. 200. Every province and territory is here except PEI. So we must have our next conference in Charlottetown to get their attention. We have 6 people here from Nunavut. Welcome. And 33 of you are here from various governments and judiciaries across Canada. Thank you for attending and listening. Now, if access to justice work has felt lonely before, take a pause and look around you. You are among your peers. This is your community. And you all have a role to play. Over the next couple of days, connect with each other, challenge each other, listen to their recommendations, build partnerships and collaborations that last beyond these walls. That's what this area just outside is for. I want you to get together and network. And let this real reform will not come from a single report or a single institution. It will come from sustained collective effort. That's us. Let this conference be more than a conversation. Let it be the starting point of a movement to make Canada's justice system a truly people-centered system. Accessible, responsible, and more worthy of the public's trust. The need is clear. The opportunity is here. Now the question is simple. What will we do with it? So let's get to work. Now, on that note, I want to deal with a few housekeeping issues. First, we have simultaneous translation available. If you don't already have one, devices are available at the entrance to this room and the other rooms. Staff will give you instructions in their use if needed. And each room is also equipped with a live transcript on screens for those sitting at the front. The sessions will take place in 3 different locations. The plenary sessions and some concurrent sessions will be here in the John McCrae Auditorium. And please note you're not allowed to bring food and drink into this auditorium. Other sessions will be held in the Winifred Bambrick Room and the Margaret Avison Room. And I think some of you have already found the Bambrick Room for breakfast. Breakfast, lunch, and breaks will be served there. And you'll find restrooms on the main floor just to the left of the entrance. Now, the Wi-Fi is free under the name ECM Guest, and the password is conference in small lowercase. So ECM Guest, conference lowercase. All sessions are being recorded and will be made available for free following the conference. Finally, it's important that unlike Via Rail, we will keep our conference schedule, okay? Moderators will ensure that every session begins and ends on time. Speakers will be given a signal when their time is running out, and you please stop, okay? And that means you, all of you, must be in the session rooms by the starting time, okay? So please do that. Now, I want to introduce very quickly the members of the steering committee, which is like the board of directors of the Action Committee on Access to Justice. Could you all just stand up and we'll acknowledge you? Steering committee. Thank you. I want to thank the steering committee for their support for this conference. Now, I want to also introduce the members of the organizing committee for this conference. For those of you who were not at the Supreme Court last night, I'm going to call out your name and please stand up and be recognized. Karen Campbell. Karen, there you go. And please hold your applause till the end. Andrew Pillier. From you, Vic. Look, you're not hungover from last night, all right? No. Noel Semple. Jennifer Leach. Susie Chiro, Tanya Pritchett. Oh, okay. Oh, there you are. David Wiseman. There you are. Catherine McKinnon. It's been a big help. Jeremy Boulanger-Bonelli. And Trevor Farrow, who's not with us today. Did I miss anybody? Okay. The truly heavy lifting, though, has been done by our excellent staff, Veronique Morissette and Brie Lowenberger, who will be introduced later during the conference. It's now my honor to introduce the Attorney General of Ontario, the Honourable Doug Downey. He is unique among attorneys general. When I spoke with him last fall in London about this conference, he told me that he has actually worked in the court system as a registrar in what is now the Ontario Superior Court of Justice. I first met Mr. Downey at the Ontario Bar Association, where he served as Secretary and Treasurer, and he later served as Chair of Communications for the Canadian Bar Association. After serving on the Orillia City Council, Mr. Downey was elected in 2018 as MPP for the riding of Barrie, Springwater, Oro-Medonte, and in 2019 he was appointed as Attorney General. And he has shown forward-looking leadership in overseeing the modernization of the court system in Ontario. I can tell you, I for one am grateful that Ontario now has electronic court filing and Zoom hearings. Makes things a lot simpler. Mesdames et Messieurs, veuillez accueillir chaleureusement le Procureur général de l'Ontario, l'Honourable Doug Downey.
Thank you so much, Doug. I have many Dougs in my life, and I'm thrilled to be here. I'm thrilled to be here with people who are so dedicated to access to justice. And I want to talk a little bit about the frame of our approach and how you fit into that and how you can help us help the people that we're focused on. You know, access to justice, I like to say, is a verb. It is not a noun. It is something that we talk about, but it's something that we need to do. It needs action. And so I understand the organizing committee was very clear with each of the speakers, bring us something concrete that can happen. And so I'm looking forward to seeing that. Unfortunately, I can't stay for the whole conference, but I will review whatever comes out of the conference. I think it will be a fantastic collection of possibilities. It is true that I was a court clerk. I was a counter clerk for a couple of summers. And then after that, I did a master's degree in judicial administration. And I'm going to tell you why I mention that in a moment. Carl Barr was the professor of the program. There were about 6 of us per year. Ian Green then took over the program later. It's a different way of thinking, and I'm going to come back to that. After that experience, I then did get a job as a registrar. And so my job was teaching new judges how to do the paperwork. They had been excellent lawyers. They landed on the bench. They didn't know where the bathrooms were or what to do with the paper. So that was my job. And man, did it ever open my eyes to what a human system we operate within. Because each individual judge that came to the bench came as an individual. But when you're younger, you think of it as the static other. But once you're in practice and you see your friends get appointed to the bench, that veneer starts to drop a little bit. And not in a bad way, but in a human way. And we have to harness that humanity and how people come to the court. And give grace to those who are in tough decisions, making tough decisions. But we have built the justice system. It's been built by lawyers and for lawyers. It's been built by judges, but for judges. We don't always think about the actual people coming in front of the court. It's a different way of thinking. So we have to make sure that we're meeting people where they are. And you know, Doug mentioned the number of self-reps. And it's been a conversation my entire involvement, my entire life as a practicing lawyer, and now it's like we have to make sure that people have representation. Well, maybe we need to design the system so they don't need it. Maybe we need to accept the reality that we're not going to get lawyers for everybody that has an issue that comes to the courts. Maybe we need to simplify processes. We need to have off-ramps for what their real issues are. People come to the courts, with this legal problem, but their life problem is this. We're not servicing this. We're just solving the technical legal problem. And I think we can do better. And I think you can help steer us there. We invested some money in Clio. It's a pathways, family pathways project to help people self-navigate through the system a little bit. And my ultimate vision, I'm just going to pick on family law. My ultimate vision is that we have like a turbo tax of family law, so that when you have a drop-down menu, do you have children? Yes, no. Are you feeling financially insecure? Well, here's some outside resources that might help. Are you feeling unstable? Here's some pieces. And start plugging in the services that people actually need to solve this problem so they can focus and resolve the smaller legal problem. And I think we have to design the system a little bit differently. And that sounds sort of theoretical. It sounds like, yeah, okay, but those are a lot of parts to bring together. How are you possibly going to do that? Well, I want to talk about justice centers for a second. And you're going to have to watch the time because I'm not even reading my speech. So, and my dad drove trains for VIA, so I understand. So justice centers, which some of you will be aware of and some will not, we stole the idea from Red Hook, New Jersey. There's some examples in Australia. But effectively, if I could take all the social services that were needed for an individual coming before the criminal court and put them in the courthouse and have them there as tools for the judge and the prosecutor and the defense attorney and even the clerk and for others, that would be fantastic. But I don't have any room in the courthouses. We are, MAG, the Ministry of the Attorney General, is the second largest land manager in government. We have a lot of properties. We're also the second largest frontline service in government. We have a lot of people, about 9,500 people. But I don't have any room in the courthouses. And the average age of my courthouses are about 75 years old. But that's not going to stop us. What we did is we took the machinery of the courts out to where the social services were and created those hubs. We have live experience now, 5 years in London, almost 5 years in Kenora. We have a couple of justice centers in Toronto. And I can tell you the impact of these justice centers, they are not diversion programs. There are still consequences, but it allows the judge at first instance to say, we can do it, this way, and you can go out and turn left and we'll go to the resources. Or if you don't want to, you can turn right and we'll do it the traditional way. But the turn left way is to be in a room, in Kenora in particular, around a table with a judge and all of the machinery of court, and an elder and other support structures. And I can tell you after many years of data, the recidivism rate in Kenora for the age group that we're servicing, which is 18 to 25, and we stretch that, but in that general range, the recidivism rate traditionally has been 88%. The recidivism rate through the Justice Center is 40%. We are connecting people with their history. We're connecting them with their resources. We're putting them on different paths. They're putting themselves on different paths. And that's really the magic of what we're doing. So it is possible to create a system that is different, that is people-focused. And that's just one example. I'd love to share more about justice centers, but I know that we have limited time. The other thing that we can do is through architecture. You walk into a courthouse and you get a feel. And that's on purpose. There's the hierarchy, a structure, the power of government and whatnot. Justice centers don't do that. You walk in and it might just be a table. It might just be a normal room. And take away the crushing weight of the state for somebody who really feels disempowered already. So we can do it through architecture. And I go, when did we last revisit our architecture? It was about 50 years ago. So we still build courthouses with 50-year-old designs. When I go somewhere now, if I go to the library or a public space or an airport, very different feel. And the most stressful thing that you're going to encounter when you walk into a space where you have to do business and you're going to be at all day? Where do I charge my phone? Right? Where do you charge your phone in a courthouse? I can go to not Hudson's Bay anymore, but I can go into a department store and they have kiosks. I can charge my phone while I go do other things. Why do we not have that level of service for people who are coming into our court system? And so that's a small thing, but we have to start thinking differently about how people come through that front door. But you're right, we have to do it on data. And we really need the data and we need the work. We are revisiting the courthouse design. We're doing that now. We've wired courthouses, courtrooms. We'll be up over 300 by the end of the year, fully hybrid. And technology needs to meet people where they are. So things like the landlord-tenant board. If somebody does not have the ability to come online, we have deals with Rogers that we can give them extra minutes on their phones for the day. Because some people still, I mean, most of us will have unlimited calling, right? That's just sort of normal for us. Some people have 100 minutes a month. And so we have to make sure that we're doing that. We have mobile units that will go to them with the technology. And so it can be digital first, but it cannot be digital only. And that's a critical piece for a lot of the people that we're serving in our justice system. Now, the next piece is in terms of technology. And the court digital transformation, because of our Constitution, because of our history between Section 91 and 92, who does what and who appoints whom, we're running two different systems for family law, Superior Court and Ontario Court. We're running two different back-end systems for criminal, Superior Court and Ontario Court. And then other systems on top of that. We're running over 6 different back-office electronic systems. You would never design a system that way. I was lucky enough to get resources from now soon departing Treasury Board President Caroline Mulroney and Peter Bethenfalvey, and the Premier supported this, $180 million to build a new system. And I had the collaboration with Chief Justice Morowitz and Lise Mazenov before that, and Chief Justice Nicholas, and we all got the same vision, and we said, if I can get the money, let's do this. Let's collapse it all, and we have one system. It's not theoretical. Over Thanksgiving of last year, 100 people spent their entire Thanksgiving launching the court digital transformation system. It's been live in Toronto in all lines of business, except for criminal, that'll come soon, and then we'll scale across the province. It does a number of things. I'm very excited about it. You haven't heard a lot about it, but that's a really good sign in a tech rollout of that scale. Really good sign. We're being visited from around the world, and in fact, we're engaged with Singapore, who has a great system themselves, but is coming to end of life, and they are likely adopting this system that we just rolled out. It is leading and state-of-the-art and working. So I'm really excited about that, but here's what you're going to be excited about. It's going to produce data. We couldn't reconcile data with 6 different systems. This will produce data. It will help us understand who our clients are, who's using the system, how they're using it, whether they're represented, whether they're not, where their lawyer's from. The early stats that we have, not through that system, but other systems, is that family law self-reps dropped in the north because they could access lawyers in the south. Technology can help with this stuff. The digital information repository, which will roll out, it's been in Toronto since 2023 and throughout the north earlier this year. Those pieces of paper, when I was a court clerk, that were under the fax machine, the information they were trying to find for the individual in front of the court, no longer the piece of paper. One system talks to across the system. It's not rocket science in this day and age, but nobody did it. This is what we walked in on. When I was a court clerk, you couldn't use a credit card to file a document at the courthouse. And I thought that was crazy then. When I became the Attorney General in 2019, you still couldn't. You couldn't use a credit card to file. But the department, we did it in 6 months. It's not like the technology wasn't there. It's just nobody had prioritized it. And that's access to justice. That's letting people use the tools they already have to get to where they need to be. The system is sometimes too complex. It produces, Justice Karakoustanis last night, laid out beautifully about how people are marginalized from the system because there are barriers, inherent barriers, and we have to tear those down. We have to make sure that fairness happens, not just outcomes. And it's easier said than done, but there are some really good examples of what we can do. I'm going to say one more piece about helping people where they are. Legal Aid Ontario, we redid the Act in 2020, the last Act, and it went very well and is going very well. But when we went through that, it really struck me. To get a certificate to be represented, you had to make less than $20,000 a year. $20,000 a year if you're an individual. But if you had one child, it was 22. And if you had 2 children, it scaled up towards 45 if you had 5 or more children. And I went, this is not a social service program. Who cares how many kids there are? And does my partner with her 2 daughters and me with my 2 kids, do I have 4 kids or do I have 2 kids? And why are we having this conversation? So we bumped it to 45 across the board regardless. We're serving now 180,000 more people each year through that one change. And I know 45 is still fairly low, but it's a lot better than 20. And it's really opening doors for people, and it's helping the system, it's helping the judges, because it's difficult for them to be able to help people in the way that they need the help in real time. So I'm just doing a time check with you, Doug, because I know I'm a politician and a lawyer without a speech. So no. I'll wrap up this way by saying thank you. Thank you for taking the time to do the heavy lifting. I spent many years on the Uniform Law Conference of Canada, seeing some of the work done there. There is great value in what you are doing. There's great value in the work that you're going to be doing. And I really look forward to seeing some of the product from this conference, but even more so the research that you're going to engage in. And I really just want to say thank you for taking the time, for making the time, and for producing the product. So with that, thank you. Merci. Miigwech.
Well, Mr. Attorney General, thank you so much for coming today. Your presence is greatly appreciated, and we're also grateful for other members of governments from across the country for being here. Let's show our appreciation once again.